I will confess, I didn't get into this book as I normally would. I went into it with a bias, and I'm sorry about that, but that's what happened. Um, I did a video on author frustrations. You'll have to check that out. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Tina. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy smancy stuff going on here. And no editing. What you see is what you get with me. If you remember the old Roots Web, and I'm Christina Tina. This is sorry. Um, but the old Roots Web. If you did genealogy on Roots Web, if you did anything on Roots Web in the late '90s, early 2000s, their program was what you see is what you get. That was the abbreviation for the program. But so this book has been sitting on my to be read table for a while. You'll have to check. I did books 1 and 2 back January, and it's been sitting around, and other things have come up, and I finally decided I might as well sit down and read this book. And while I was going to sit down and read this book, I wanted to go ahead and order book 4 and see when 5 was coming out. And in doing so, I discovered that the author has been told, like, a very long time ago, and I mentioned this all in my author frustration video. Um, I had an author that was doing a series sort of like this. It took place in the 1900s, and it was the Francesca Cahill series. And she had a rich guy fiance, but she was also smitten with the police commissioner. And she would solve murder mysteries each book. And I was in it for the murder mysteries. And it's sort of where the Victoria Thompson stuff comes to. I enjoyed the heck out of that. And this whole little situation implies here. So like 20 something years ago, Brenda Joyce was doing the Francesca Cahill series and the De Warrens. I was like a royal, prominent Dallas Knots Landing type family, big, huge family, wealthy, whatever it was. I didn't read it, so I don't know too much about it. But I was into the Francesca Cahill series. And I don't know where I read it. I haven't seen it since. I haven't been able to find the letter. Maybe I'll have to check her archive on her website. I don't know where I saw it. But it came apparent at one point that the publisher didn't want her doing any more of the Cahill series. They weren't selling. They wanted her to contact on the others. And she did do a few other romances. She developed a sort of sci-fi fantasy, a Master of Time series that she did in place of it. But so knowing that much, I was kind of disappointed in that. And then when I was researching this particular series, I discovered that the publisher told the author to cease and desist these books and try something else, because she's got a book coming out, her 5th book, but it's not this series. It's a whole new thing. And I went searching, and I found that her publisher had told her to cease and desist this. So book 4 is going to be the last book in the series. And I am a series person, and I get invested in the series and in the characters, and I care what happens to them. And um, now remember, keep in mind, this is all in the same week that I found out that Victoria Thompson has died. And I was heavily invested in Sarah Brandt and Frank Malone. If you haven't seen all my videos on that, please go check those out. And at the end, I do a series how to the reading order for the series, and then I also do Mrs. Ellsworth quotes because I just got a kick out of Miss Ellsworth, something terrible. So, and then on top of that, I found out that Veronica, I'm not saying it right. Fiona Buckley had also died, so there won't be any more books in that series. So, with that frame of mind, is how I sat down to read this book. That this was it, and so rooting for Daniel to cough up his feelings to Genevieve, your two main characters, dealing with Rupert and Esme and her parents, and her brothers are back from Europe. Her one brother has returned, and getting involved with all these characters, and I was just like, why? Because I usually do. I usually gain a lot of, you know, I want to see what happens next. I'm a series person. I like the character progression from book to book to book to book. And I get involved with the characters and I keep track of the characters and I get into, but when I got to this book with all this baggage, I was like, who cares? This is the end. I've got a couple other series that I'm going to get into now. One of them, the author has just passed a little while ago. However, unlike this series, there's over 60 books in that, and there's a ghostwriter. So we have a really long time to go through that series. And Miss Hamilton up here, that's one of my big I didn't mention this in the author frustration. I didn't think about it till afterwards. But that's one of my biggest fears. Well, I have two in relations to books. My mother died in the middle of reading Michael Connelly's Angel Flight. So I can never read Michael Connelly's Harry Bosch series because my mother, and I had to return the book to the library, and it just sunk in with me. So ever since, if it's a really good book and it's a really good series, I will make sure that I will be home for several days in a row to read that book, that I wasn't going out. Because if you leave the house, you don't know what happens, and you may never finish the book. I know it's stupid, but that's just the mind frame. So, if it's a book I've read before, or I know what's gonna happen, or I'm but I'm always fearful that if an author ends on a cliffhanger, that if something happens to the author, we may never know. And there's a couple of authors. No one writes as fast as James Patterson. It's just, and he's got a lot of people. He puts his name on. He didn't write a lot of those books. He's got other people writing the book, and he's helping them start their career. At least that's my theory. Is that he's helping them start their career by putting his name here, and then they go and this person, and then the book. And I'm pretty sure that this person wrote the book and Patterson just maybe edited or added stuff to it or something like that. But one of my other authors, Diana Gabaldon, it takes her 5 to 6 years to write a book. And you're always like, and then you wish people could be like Nora Roberts. Nora Roberts writes 5 books a year. We get 3 Noras and 2 J.D. Robbs. In the olden days, we would get 3 Nora Roberts and 4 J.D. Robbs. 2 books and 2 novellas from J.D. Robb, but we don't do that anymore either. So you can see that was just, and Miss up here, she's been promoting a wedding between John Claude and Anita and the rest of the guys. And book 30 was supposed to be the big, and it wasn't. And things the author has said, book 31 will probably not be the wedding. Book 32 may be the wedding. However, she stopped to write Mary. She hasn't written Mary in well over 15 something years. So we're finally going to get book 10 in the Mary series. So that means we will have to wait extra years for that. So anyways, back to this. I got distracted. Um so okay, Genevieve. We all know that Genevieve wants to be a crime reporter. She wants to do serious news, and her editor only wants her to do fashion. And um so she's got this other girl gonna do her column while she pursues the crime beat, and she's worked it out a deal with the author, her editor. And so, like, usually I'm rooting for her with Arthur, that he'll give her a chance. Usually I'm rooting for her with Daniel. They haven't even, nothing yet. They haven't even talked or anything. They haven't even exchanged their feelings or anything like that. At least when Sarah Brandt and Frank Malloy did this, I knew there were other books. I knew there was stuff coming. I bought the entire set. I bought all of the books in one big purchase when I did the Victoria Thompson thing. They were just, I love them so much. They were so awesome. So usually I'm rooting, like, I've got patience. I'll wait a few books. You know, if a series is going to be long running, then the author wants to drag out their relationship a little bit. But now that I know that it's ending, that the book is ending, and Genevieve and Daniel haven't even talked about feelings or anything like that. They're just busy with the case, and Rupert and Esme, their friends, help out with the case too. And we get a little involvement from Gavin, Genevieve's brother, and then Detective Aloysius Longstreet helps them out a little bit. They're still working on that friendly negotiation, getting to know each other, trusting each other, investigation, cop work type situation, which could be fruitful and helpful in future books. But now we know there isn't going to be any future books. We can hope that one day that she'll go back to this. Or maybe she'll find a new publisher. Or I suggested to the woman, self-publish. But maybe she doesn't want to spend the time on I don't know. But, so, I was looking forward to them negotiating relationship with Aloysius. I was looking forward to Genevieve and Daniel working on their relationship and their friendship with Rupert and Esme and Patty and I forget what the other guy's name is. Daniel's old cohorts. So I was looking forward to growing that and establishing them. And this is takes place in the summer, and Callie's friend Callie has written Genevieve and told her that a friend of hers that was murdered, and the police are attributing it to accidental death. And when Callie and Genevieve and Daniel sit down and say the girl's throat was slit, how in the world is that accidental death? Well, it turns out that someone started this stupid rumor about Jack the Ripper being in New York, and they don't want the newspapers picking up on that, so they're keeping these murders hush hush. But they have a serial killer on their hands. And apparently the serial killer also poses as victims after he kills them in artful photographic ways and then takes pictures of them. And we don't see the killer. Sometimes in some books, the killer shows up, hi, I'm here, and goes off or has a conversation here or there. There are some books where the killer is constant in every scene. This killer is non-existent, almost non-existent till the end of the book when they show up in grand form. So you're led in the finger is pointed at several different people, but because, I mean, other It's insinuated that these people could possibly be the killer, but Genevieve and Daniel don't buy it. So we, the reader, don't buy it either. That there's got to be somebody else, that the finger's being pointed at these innocent people. So that's basically them searching and investigating who was killing these women. And it turns out Genevieve and Callie and Esme know some of these women too, personally. Um, so they're killing these women and posing them artfully, and their throat. It's really a G book in relation to that kind of stuff. But I lost, it was interesting, and I was curious. She reveals it in a good fashion. There is a climactic thing at the end where everybody's life is in danger and stuff happens, and it's good that way. It's well written. But it was just my mindset that the publisher told it to cease and desist. So, that was basically it. Them searching a serial killer who was killing his victims and then posing them. And it takes a while to find the connection between the girls and find out who done it. And like I said, the murderer is out of town for most of the book, or at least we're told he's out of town, and everybody else believes he's out of town, but he's not. But that's the general consensus. That's why no one even looks at him for the first 90% of the book. They don't even talk about him because he's supposedly out of town. So this is book 3 of 4. That's it. After that, it's over. And I'm going to wait a while and see what happens with her publisher. If I go for 4 or not, I haven't decided yet. But a series that takes place at the same time that you will be seeing. I'm going to read this in a couple days. I've been savoring it. I like Molly. Molly, her Irish. I've got a whole spiel for Molly. Also, on the other side of the pond, there's a new one. I'm waiting for a new one to come in on this. It's I think I forget what month it's coming up, but there is a new one on this. It's up on her website. But this is a married couple working together to solve crime with their adopted sons and some other cohorts. And also in London, the Useful Woman's the Useful Woman series. She works with her cohorts and Bow Street Runner, or a former Bow Street Runner. A lady who works in the same time frame as Miss Bell here. Wait a second. The same time frame as this is Alyssa Maxwell. And this, I enjoyed this series. I enjoyed complaining about the young lady's issues with the young guy. Her husband, as of now, they have married him. And the other book that also takes place in New York during the same time period is this one. So I'm looking forward. We just read this the other day. So this is the new one, right? Where are my glasses? I'm pretty sure we just read this. And I used to bitch about nope, there's a new one coming out. This is 2024. I must have ordered the other one. There's one around here somewhere. There's one coming. I've looked. But I started out the series itching and bitching about the author paid attention to conventional. A woman's not allowed to go out alone, and she's got to have a companion or a servant or something following her around. And she played on and off with that until she finally just gave it up. Because now the two characters are getting married. They have an investigation agency, a lawyer agency. She studied to be a lawyer. She got a lawyer degree in the last book. But anyways, that is... What did I do with it? That's the end of this series. I'm trying to decide if I should get the fourth one or not. If I'm gonna go into the mindset like this one, I'm not gonna do it for a while till I get past my own mental issues. But have a good day.